Assalamu alaikum everyone. I hope all of you are doing great. In this video, we are going to discuss P3 maths. We had a discussion about the first chapter, that's algebra. So initially we discussed what exactly is the mod function, and we discussed how to solve modulus equations and modulus inequalities. Today, we are going to discuss the sketching of linear graphs of the form y equals ax mod plus b. So let me just write down the headings and everything, and then we will discuss in detail. So we are going to talk about the second unit of the first chapter. It's 1.2. The sketching of linear graphs of the form y equals a x mod plus b. So this is what we would be discussing today, okay? In order to understand it properly, let's talk about an example and then it would make sense. So the very first example is y equals 2x minus 4 mod, okay? This is the very first question which we need to discuss. All right, let's talk about the solution of this question. Let's talk about the plotting of y equals 2x minus 4. Imagine you had y equals 2x minus 4. So it is simply a linear equation, and we know how to plot it. If you are interested in plotting any line, we just need to follow one step. Okay, for this we need to see what would be the value of x at the x-intercept, and for that we use y equals 0. So let's do it that way. All right, so using y equals 0, we are going to get x equals 2, and using x equals 0, we would get y equals minus 4. Okay, so it means on the y-axis the value would be minus 4, and on the x-axis it would be 2. Let me make the line quickly now. So the line would be made by connecting these 2 points. This is basically going to be the line. Now we know that for now we were just talking about 2x minus 4. Okay, 2x minus 4 is a separate thing, and 2x minus 4 mod is obviously a separate thing. Okay, when we write down mod, we know that we do not have any negative value. All these values right here are basically the negative values. So this is what we need to understand. Okay, this is what we need to understand, that this part would basically become positive. When it would become positive, I am going to make the line this way. This is going to be the graph then. Okay, so now we know whenever you will come across a question of this type where we have mod, first of all you need to think that what would be the situation if you had the equation without mod. Okay, we made the equation and we know that whenever we have mod, we would not be having the negative part, right? Negative part was the part that I've just erased. So we know that we would just be having the positive part, and so I've made the reflection of that line. So this is basically the understanding about it. Okay, so whenever you have a question of this type where you have 2x minus 4 whole mod, first we'll make this and then we'll make the reflection. Let's just erase this and let's talk about another example. All right, okay, let's talk about example number 2. Example number 2 says it is y equals to x mod plus 4. Now this is what we need to simplify, right? Or this is what we need to sketch. Now this time around, we would not be making the graph we have just discussed. For this, we will make the graph of this part first, okay? So you should know, let me make it right here. This is the y-axis, this is the x-axis, and I am going to make the graph of x mod. So this is basically x mod. This is x mod, okay? And if I say 2x mod, so we are multiplying it by 2. It would be of this type. Let me make the graph. All right. So this is the graph of y equals x mod, and this is the graph of y equals to x mod. Okay, this is the difference. Since we are coming from the AS maths, and we should know whenever 2 or any number is multiplied with x, it would basically be a stretch by a stretch factor of half. So the pink would be the graph for y equals x, y equals 2 x mod, and yes, it would be the pink graph. Okay, but the original question, or the question that we have been asked, or we have been asked to sketch, is basically this one. Let me just erase these dots. Is basically this one. So now the pink graph is basically representing y equals 2x mod, and you have been asked to sketch the graph of y equals 2x mod plus 4. Okay, so for plus 4, we need to shift the graph. Okay, how do we switch the shift the graph? We will shift the graph 4 units above. All right, so we will shift the graph 4 units above. It is at 0. It would basically be shifted at this point. So it is going to become this and then this. Okay, so basically it would be the blue graph. So this is going to be the graph. All right. So for these type of questions, now we know that the examiner would give you 2x mod plus 4. You know how to make the graph of x mod, and the graph of 2x mod would basically be something of that type, but the lines would be comparatively closer. And when we do plus 4, so for plus 4, you need to shift the graph 4 units above. So it would be this one, okay? So this is going to be the answer. All right, so this was basically a discussion about the plotting of the linear graphs of the form y equals ax plus b. Okay, so let's talk about a few more examples and then that is it. So imagine this is the question that we need to solve. For this one again, what do you need to understand? You need to keep one thing in mind, that first of all, we will be making the graph of y equals x plus 1. So it's y equals x plus 1. We will use x equals 0 and y would be 1. And when y is 0, x is going to be minus 1. So it would be this point and it would be this point, okay? Let's just join these 2 points and this would be the line. Now I know that in the actual question or the question that I have, in this one, I need to solve for x plus 1 mod, okay? So this is the point. I cannot have this part, so I will be finding out its reflection. So it is going to be something of this type. So once I'm done with this, I am just going to erase this part now. All right, so the remaining part would be the graph of x plus 1 mod. All right, let's talk about another example. Here we have y equals 1 by 2 x mod plus 3. So for this one, we need to understand that again, we will think about the graph of x mod, and the graph of x mod is going to be something of this type, okay? This is the graph of x mod. Now we have 1 by 2 and it's being multiplied with it. So this is going to be something of this type. Last time we had 2 multiplied by x mod, so the lines got closer. This time around we have half multiplied at it. So it would be this one, and then we have plus 3. So this is at 0 and it would move 1, 2, and 3 units above. So it would be something of this type. So this is basically going to be the sketch of 1 by 2 x mod plus 3. So we know that if we have a question of this type, let's say y equals x plus 1 mod, we need to make the graph of y equals x plus 1 first, and then we just shift the negative part above, okay? This is how we do this one. And for these, we need to make the graph of x mod first, then we think about it. If it's half, the lines would basically get away, and then plus 3 would basically shift the graph 3 units above. So this is basically the difference in both of them. All right, okay, so that is it. This was a quick discussion about the plotting of linear graphs which had mod in it. And yeah, that is it then. I will see you next time. Okay. Take care, all of you, and Allah Hafiz.